G'day and welcome to Aussievision. We are doing our national preview discussion and mini video here. Not a mini video in a way, because we're going to have 6 national finals to talk about for this big Super Saturday / Super Sunday. The only one we're not talking about here and that's finishing up is Italy. There's going to be a separate video on that, so check that out. I am joined by the amazing Hayley, Zhi and Craig. G'day guys, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, well, let's start this off with talking about probably the fan favorite of these 6 national finals, Estonia, Eesti Laul. Hayley, who should we be looking out for that could take the crown in Estonia?
I think Alika. The more I listen to this song, I'm amazed. This woman has an incredible voice. She's got a bit of grit to her voice, but it's also delicate and powerful. And also the final's 100% televote, and she has won Estonian Idol before. I do believe if this song makes it to Liverpool, I think it might be my favorite of the year so far. I'm just loving it every time I listen to it. The other threat might be Ollie's Venom, which is a great song, and I do love my rock music, but I wonder if it's just a little bit dated.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's between Alika and Ollie. They're sort of leading in the betting odds, the polls, YouTube views of their semi-final performances. I actually think Ollie might sneak through. Actually, I sort of think Estonians have had a streak of sending those handsome young men. You think Stefan, Yuko, and Victor for the last 4 years. So I think it'd be interesting to see whether Alika can break that streak. But I'm definitely rooting for her as well. I just love her voice, her performance. I think it's the performance of the whole show. And yeah, I love the piano that plays by itself, emphasizing the haunting and classical nature of the whole piece. So I think it's definitely between those two. In terms of the third spot in the super final, because 3 songs get to go to the super final, I think it's between Yannick, Sissy, and the Bedwetters, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
All right, so we've got Hayley saying it'll be Alika. Zhi, you're sort of saying that you think Ollie might sneak through for it potentially. Look, Craig, I know this is not your country. Do you have a prediction out of those 2 to maybe choose a winner?
So I was thinking Alika until now, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah, look, I have to agree with Hayley and Zhi. I think it is an Alika versus Ollie. I think Alika's got the great performance, but the Estonian public do tend to choose what you said there, Zhi. So we'll have to wait and see on Estonia. Always a great national final. And Laura from Aussievision is actually going to be in Tallinn at the show. So I'm sure she's going to do an amazing job. I think the first ever Aussievision person to go to a European national final. So that should be a good one. All right, well, let's cross over the kind of Baltic Sea, maybe? I don't know. Probably a bit further to Denmark for Dansk Melodi Grand Prix. Now, this national final gets a bit of flack from the fans for being a bit beige and vanilla. Craig, I don't know why I've gone to you for this one, but what's this looking like? Who's going to potentially take it out?
Is it because I'm beige and vanilla, Dale?
Oh, no, you're not.
Yes, I think Denmark loves something a little bit twee, a little bit dated, a little bit sort of cheery. And the one that's leaping out to me is, I hope I pronounced this right, it's Søren Torpegaard Lund with Liga Hair. It's like this ballady thing. It's quite nice if he sounds like he's got a good vocal, and if he can produce that live, I think it could create a bit of a moment on stage. And also it's a little bit twee. And I think I could see it being like a sort of Leonora moment on stage. So I could see the Danish public going for that. If not, the backup option I think is maybe Riley, who has quite a well-produced pop song that I enjoy listening to. Like, there's a couple of things in there, but those are the 2 I think that leap out.
Oh, I think that's very interesting to hear, because I think the betting odds have Ija, the 2 girls, as the favorite, and they're winning in a lot of the polls as well. And I'm thinking that, it sort of seems women with folksy tunes seem to be doing well at these national selections. We think of Czech Republic recently and Norway. So I actually think they have a good shot of going through. Again, like Estonia, 3 will go through to the super final. And I think Riley and actually Nicholas Son might go through. I think Riley actually should be the favorite, but I think sort of the controversy that's overshadowed him about performing the song live in South Korea before the deadline, I think that sort of has overshadowed him a little bit. But I actually still think that's the best song. So again, like Estonia, my heart really wants Riley to go through, but I think my head says Ija, the two girls, I think they will go through to Liverpool. But it's a very open field, and I love Soren's song as well. It's very 1950s Eurovision, so hoping that does well as well.
You disagree, Craig? You don't think Asia
I
can win?
No, we've seen this like 90s Christian pop stuff at DMGP before. Like there was that Hallelujah song last year, and everyone thought that was going to win. It didn't. I am putting this in the same category. I don't think it's going to be that one. I think it's being a bit overhyped.
Yeah, it's very hard to know sometimes, and I think we haven't seen any live performances through semi-finals. I think this is a very open field, and even though I do think probably out of those top two, Riley might have the best kind of pop song, and Asia's obviously doing well in the odds. I thought I wrote this down that no one else would say because it's right down the odds, but I agree on Soren. I mean, I personally love Liga Hair, and I just think it's something the Danes will go for, and I think it can be a moment. So we'll have to wait and see. And you know what? Something we haven't even mentioned was probably going to win the whole thing. That's the Danes for you. Now, talking about beige vanilla, let's go to Malta. And hey, we're going to come back to you, Craig, because you have been covering Malta from the quarterfinals onwards, and you've done a stellar job, you and Colleen from the team. What's going on there?
So, first of all, I want to say everyone's been very mean about Malta, and the semi-final this morning, production-wise, was actually very good. Like everyone had really good staging concepts. It was well paced. It had a budget, and next year they just need to cut the terrible live auditions and skip straight to this. With regards to the actual songs that I have a chance, I think there are three, of which one is Brooke, who I suspect someone else is going to mention, so I'm not going to talk about her. The two others who I think can do it, one is Ryan Hayley, who I don't necessarily mention because I love his song. I think it's kind of a dull ballad, but he won X Factor Malta. He has quite a bit of domestic support. On Maltese social media, he's currently leading in terms of engagement. And like the fans haven't noticed him at all, but that's because the fans aren't watching MESC. So I could see Ryan coming out of nowhere as a sort of surprise winner. And the other one, which I am very enthusiastic about, as anyone who has seen my Twitter profile recently will know, is the Busker with Dance brackets Our Own Party. It is quirky, it's very catchy, it's like the love child of Dali Frere, Lake Malawi, and Sunstroke Project. And the staging this morning, I thought a little bit chaotic, too much going on, but the concept is there. And if they take a couple things out, they tighten it up a bit, I think that's their best chance to do like qualify at all and maybe do respectably in the final.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the Busker song as well. I'm Team Busker. I think it's a two-horse race between Busker and Brooke. I think Brooke's songs it's quite good, but I'm not convinced it's as memorable as the Busker song. I think it feels like I've sort of heard it all before, but I did enjoy her staging and I liked her dress as well. I was going to say that in 2013 and 14, Malta qualified for the grand final with two male artists and groups that were kind of a bit folky, but when I looked at Busker again, I'm not quite sure what category to put their song into. I would like to see Malta choose it just to take a bit of a risk and not go with something that's sort of obviously written for Eurovision. Be good if they tried something a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit tough for the Malta. I think they're going to have a real struggle at Eurovision because of the 100% tally voting. I think out of all the nations that struggle with that, they struggle more than even Australia does with the tally vote in Europe. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, emotionally, Brooke has tried so many times, and I kind of just kind of feel like just send her because you're probably not going to qualify with anything. Just give the girl a chance. But look, I agree, Craig. I do think the quality of the production and the show that Malta put on is incredible, isn't it? So the grand final, how many songs will be taking part in the grand final?
There'll be 16. And then I understand, so it'll be jury, televote. I think jury's weighted slightly more than televote, and then they'll probably change the song after whoever wins anyway. So
Because it is in the terms and conditions, right? They can change the song. It's about
they can change the artist, I think. It's just that they've never done it. But if Ryan Healy wins, I am fully behind them changing that song. So,
Oh, there we go. There we go. That is Malta. That should be a really interesting one. Now on to Romania, and I think national final barely anyone's talking about. But there's some little gems in this one. When I had a look at the songs, I was like, I don't have any idea who's going to win and what's going to happen here. So I'm going to go to Z, who just you seem to know more detail than everyone on every national final sometimes. So Z, who's going to win this? Who's got a chance of taking it out?
Well, I was going to say we may as well draw names out of a hat here. Like, we
Oh,
don't
no,
even
you
have,
don't
we
even
don't have
know.
odds. We don't have any. The polls are even Stevens. I will talk about a few though. So I think Aldadia with blah blah blah. That seems to be gaining a lot of traction, and TVR has released snippets of some of the contestants performing on sort of a studio stage, and she has quite nice staging, of constellations and intense light show. If she translates that into Saturday's final, I think that could do really well, and she has a very contemporary feel about her. So I think she's one to look out for. Another one is Adri with statues. That seems to be getting a bit of hype as well. A lot of YouTube views. I'm not really feeling it personally. I just think, he's a good-looking man. Vocals a little bit questionable though in that snippet, and quite a boring song, but that might for some reason do well. I will say a quick underdog though. Amia with Puppet. I still think that is the most unique genre. It's very quirky, and in that snippet, her vocals were on point, and she was doing these quirky puppet faces, which normally I think are a bit cheesy, but I think it sort of brings to the performance. And she is very pretty. I think if she doesn't represent Romania at Eurovision, she could try out for Miss Universe. Like, she is that beautiful, honestly. So I think probably I'd say blah 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 and statues, but maybe Puppet could be an underdog as well. So those are probably my three I'd look out for. Yeah.
Yeah, I like blah 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 as well. And I'd like to see. I think the song kind of lends itself to some sort of good backup dancers and bit of staging. I think it's got real potential. But the other one you didn't mention that I really like is Andrea Folklore Orchestra. This has grown on me so much. It kind of reminds me of Moldova from last year, which was hugely fun and quite the surprise in how popular it was. But the one thing that worries me about that is I feel that France last year tried to sort of went down the path of the ethnic techno that Ukraine did the year before, and it doesn't always pay off, as we know with sometimes after a year where there's a rock song win, have a band try it the next year. And I worry if this folklore orchestra is a little bit too similar to the Moldovan song from last year, but I really enjoy that song. It's just so much fun.
I do enjoy that song. I think,
Yeah.
and it's fun. I think the difference from Moldova last year was very slick and well put together, like a nice package. I feel like this could be a hot mess, but I'm kind of here for it. Or it could be great. It could be great. And I do want to mention Statues because I will admit that was my favorite song, and I know it's cheesy, and I know it is what it is. But that video that was released of him singing it kind of live, that was not it. I think that went with the chances.
Can I throw in like a random wild card that no one's mentioned? Sorry for talking out of turn, but
no, please.
Theodore with like DGT on and off. No one has mentioned this, but his live performance video has like the second most views of any of them, and that dude can sing. The live video is real good. I don't know why no one's talking about him because he seems like an obvious option.
Is he the one that was the kind of like, he almost looks like he's a kind of hipster and he gets a bit angry in his vocal?
Yeah, like schoolboy outfit, like long hair, that one.
Yeah, because I was actually just like, as Hayley was talking, I'm like, what's that guy's name? And I was trying to find it. I agree. I think his live performance is very good. And when there's nothing else standing out, and it's something Romania goes for in those years when they just run out of ideas, like 2018, it was kind of an open field and something semi-rocky, poppy kind of got through. So open field. All right.
Yep.
That's Romania. Right, let's go to Croatia. This looks like there is a couple of jumping from the pack here, and of course we do have a former Eurovision, kind of a Eurovision artist from the 2020 anyway. Craig, what is going on in Croatia? Who's looking like they could take it out?
So there's a couple. It's a very strange national final. There's lots of very strange things going on in it. But I think the one which looks like a wild favorite is Harmonia Dissonantia with Nevera Lele, which is sort of very folky. It sounds like the sort of thing that like a Balkan country might have sent 10 years ago. But that's not a bad thing because the Balkan countries did quite well when they used to send this stuff, I think. And like it's catchy, it's up tempo, and nothing else is going to sound like this. And I give it a good shot on the night. But knowing the Croatians, that probably means there's some random pop song that no one is talking about that's going to win. So
Yeah, look, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Nevera. I just that is my absolute standout of the pack. And as you said, it could really be anyone. But that song really is. There's a lot going on, but it really stands out. And another song I really liked, which I don't think will get there, but it's Detour by Master Blaster. Sorry. Master Blast is the name of the song. I really like that song. It's really grown on me.
Okay, Z, what about your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I do think Nevera Lele, it's the clear favorite. I think it's by a huge margin in sort of the YouTube viewing figures. It's last in the running order, and Mia the year before she was last in the running order, and Demir in 2020. So I feel like the producers seem to be building up to it. Yeah, and also as well, again, those female folksy tunes seems to be doing well at the national finals across Europe. So I think that's also in. Personally, I think they're more catchy and unique songs in the lineup, but maybe I'm not the best person to talk about this because I gave that the lowest score in the Aussievision rankings, Lay. But I think some other contenders possibly are Hannah and Let 3. They have over 200,000 views on YouTube, so almost matching Lele. Hannah has a beautiful Balkan ballad in the style of Zelko Jakimovic from a few years ago. And Let 3 is absolutely bonkers, but it's very entertaining. A song about mums and tractors. You've got to watch out for that one. But as Craig says, if Croatia goes for a catchy mainstream female pop song, Dana Free Falling is doing well in the polls. And my personal favorite, Mary with Bye Bye Blonde. She has a reasonably good running order as well towards the end. So those are probably some other songs to watch. Yeah.
And did anyone mention Demir?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's in it too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's probably like because I don't think he's the greatest song of the whole bunch. I think it's very good and solid. But if nothing else jumps out, perhaps the sentiment of the 2020 Eurovision artists who didn't get to go, that might be enough to get through. And the man can sing. Like, that's always going to help as well, I think. So I want Nevera Lele to get in, but if it doesn't, I would be happy for Demir to go.
And he looks good too.
He does look good. That's just an added bonus to the whole thing. But yeah, I feel like with Dora, again, you're right, like Craig, as you mentioned earlier, it could be something that no one's talking about. It's kind of one of those national finals that goes under the radar a little bit, but always a good show. So even if you don't watch it live, go back and watch some of it. All right, we've reached our last country. Last, but by no means least, maybe, though they struggle to qualify all the time. It's Latvia. Hayley, who is potentially going to take out the title of Supernova?
Okay, unfortunately, my favorite was Knocked Out. I really liked Sway by Inspo. It was a bit dated, but I loved it. Knocked Out. I think the next one, Patricia with Hush, is my pick. It's really, really catchy. And I'm pretty sure if there were betting odds, I did a bit of a search around, and I think that's one that seems to be sort of high in the odds. And I also like, I think her name's Elise with Tricky. That is really, really good as well. And that lends itself to a little bit of good staging. But other than that, this is not a national final that really jumped out at me this year, I'm afraid.
I think that there's like, I'm going to be very surprised if Southern Lights doesn't win this weekend. My understanding is they're quite a big rock act in Latvia, and their song, like, it's not bad. Like, it's got like it's definitely got a vibe, which like Latvia does quite well. They create a vibe. It's just not necessarily everyone's vibe, and the staging for it I thought was really creative. I liked the use of lights, but like in a national final where nothing's standing out, my understanding, they're a local favorite. I suspect they'll end up there. I think the worst thing is if they end up, they're going to be like compared with things like Slovenia, and I don't necessarily know if they come off best in that comparison. But yes, Southern Lights.
Yeah, they did very. I mean, they do release the public vote from the semi-final, but not the full thing because it's public and jury, and they won that public vote very
Right.
convincingly, about 24%. The next best was around 12 or 13, I believe, which was Marcus Riva. Marcus Riva is back for his millionth time. I think it's the ninth, and he's come second a couple of times. It's a fun little bop. I just think the juries probably will be quite harsh to it, even though I do think he will do well in the tally vote. So he might have one of his better showings in a few years, but yeah, he won't go. But it's one of those ones where I don't think anything stands out in Latvia, and I'm a bit worried for them to not qualify again. And I kind of feel like the way with Brock, it's like, if you're not going to qualify, just send Marcus Riva, just get it over and done with. We can
Rip the Band-Aid off. I will say that last year, those televoting results, Chidi Zeni didn't win in the semi-final, but they did win in the final. So it's not necessarily a done deal yet.
Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree on that one. And the one good thing about Latvia is they're very aware of their international audience. They normally have quite a lot of English, and they speak to the international audience as well. And it's a good show. It's just maybe the songs aren't great, but it's a good show. All right. Well, that's all 6 of the national finals. There's obviously things happening in Lithuania and Sweden. And of course, the Italy preview will be done by the wonderful Liv. Check that out. But big thank you to Hayley, Zhi, and Craig for running through all of these. And we'll see how accurate our predictions are. I think we'll get some right and we'll get some very wrong, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, and we'll catch you all later. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.